All right, welcome. Kind of big news. The Bruins get their top nine forward in Garnett Hathaway. That's great. They really needed offensive forward depth. Their depth is running a bit thin. They also acquired defenseman Dmitry Orlov, who's been playing top line minutes over in Washington, D.C. with the Capitals. Solid top four D man. I don't know if I have him at being a top pairing defenseman, but nonetheless, we'll see what the Bruins do. They've been jumbling up their top four D man. I think a top four D man is a good pickup. My question for the Bruins is, what are you going to do with all of your defensive players? You got 10 or 11 guys with fairly substantial NHL experience in the roster, and a couple prospects as well in the AHL that would like to see some playing time. Not looking likely. So weird, but at least it addressed two of their major needs. I think this is it. I think this is all the Bruins do going into the trade deadline. Maybe they make a minor trade. Maybe they move Zaboral for like a draft pick or something. But we'll see what happens with that. The Capitals get Craig Smith. It's important to note that all three of these guys, Craig Smith, Orlov, and Hathaway, are all on expiring contracts. They're unrestricted free agents come this offseason. So that's cool. Craig Smith, more of a cap dump to make space for the Bruins in their cap space. The Capitals also get the Bruins' first round pick for this year, second round pick 2 years from now, and the third round pick next year. To make the money work, the Wild get involved. And this is where it gets a little crazy, right? So you have Orlov making $5.1 million. The Capitals retain half that salary. They're going to pay half of Orlov's salary throughout the rest of the season. That's like 2.225 or something million. The Capitals have in dead money now because they're holding on to Orlov's contract. Still too much for the Bruins to take, so the Minnesota Wild actually acquire Orlov and send him to Boston and retain half of Orlov's salary from his remaining 2.25. So the Wild retain $1.275 million in Dmitry Orlov's salary, and the Bruins get him at quite a discount. So he's only going to cost the Bruins against the cap $1.275 million, which is a substantially cheaper price for for the type of defenseman he is, which is nice. We'll see. I think I have some confidence that they may be able to re-sign Hathaway this offseason. He should be pretty cheap. He's one of those gritty players. He's very good defensively, very solid. He's got a little bit of offensive upside. He likes to drive to the net, but he's more of a chirper and agitator. I don't know. Watching my teams play the Capitals, like I'm not afraid of like Tom Wilson hurting somebody. It's Garnett Hathaway I'm always worried about. Now he's on the Bruins, so we'll see if his game changes or if he's needed to focus on some other aspect of the game. Bruins have some agitators in the lineup. We'll see if Hathaway adds to that, makes it more of a gritty team to play with, or Hathaway is more relied on for his offensive and defensive productions on the ice. Interesting addition, but honestly, I don't hate it. In exchange, the Wild get a fifth-round pick from Boston this year for retaining some of Orlov's salary. Interesting deal. We should see Orlov play top 4 minutes in Boston. We should see Garnett Hathaway likely slide onto that third line. He's a bottom six forward. He's played a lot of fourth line minutes. He's played a lot of third line minutes in Washington and been successful at both. One of those versatile guys, can fit anywhere, can play whatever you need him to play, which is nice. And Craig Smith should see playing time with the Capitals. He's a skilled forward. There's still a game left with him. He's older, sure. He's on an expiring contract, sure. But when he's in the lineup this season, he's played fairly well. So it's interesting. But the Capitals also selling off a couple expiring contracts in exchange for a first, a second, and a third round pick. It's cool that I think it's smart the Capitals got the second and third round pick the following couple seasons. So third round pick next year, second round pick 2 years from now. The Bruins may experience some hardships next season, depending on what they do with the cap they have this offseason, and if they address their needs this offseason, being their top two centermen and what have you, re-signing Pastrnak. If they don't accomplish really any of those tasks, the Bruins may see themselves out of the playoffs next year. It's a possibility. Bruins fans, management, not worried about that. Stanley Cup this year. This is it. This is the hurrah. Final hurrah. We're going for it. We'll worry about that in a few months. But if the Bruins, you know, start to slide down and don't become a playoff team next year or the year after, these second and third round picks become a lot more valuable. Instead of, you know, a fringe second to third, like late second round, early third round, like second round pick from the Bruins, it could turn into like a mid second round or even, I don't know, depending on how things play out. It could be more of an early for second round pick. And there's some quality players left to scoop up there. So it's interesting. I think it's just one of those things. I think the Capitals were a little smart and kind of prolonging those out. Sure, it's it's going to take a little more time to get a return on those investments, but those investments may be greater. So interesting trade. It's kind of a cool deal. I think this is it for Boston. I think at this point the Capitals, I wouldn't be surprised to see another major move from them at some point throughout the season. Before the trade deadline was set in like a week and a day or something. Wild facilitating second big trade in what, 3 days? I don't even know when they're like, yeah, like a couple days or whatever, 3, 4, 5 days. I don't know how long ago that last trade was, the Ryan O'Reilly trade. But Wild are picking up some deeper picks, and we've seen those later picks. I think they got a fourth round pick in that Ryan O'Reilly deal. They get a fifth round pick here. You trade 2 fourth round picks, 2 fifth round picks. Sometimes you can acquire like a third, maybe a late second round pick, and now your probability of obtaining an NHL quality player is significantly higher than just drafting a couple fourth, couple fifth round picks. So it's very interesting asset management. I think the Wild, again, are probably some of the winners in this. I don't really think there's a lot of losers. The Bruins get what they need. The Capitals, yes, they're kind of selling off a little bit, but we may see them acquire something. They get some picks. They're not worried about this year. It seems like at first take, we'll see what they do from between now and the trade deadline. That could entirely change. But the Capitals getting some return on assets rather than just letting them walk away. And Orlov's been good. He's been very good. Again, playing top line minutes in the absence of John Carlson down in DC. And he hasn't looked bad playing those minutes either. I think he's upwards of like 23 minutes of time on ice per game, which is it's quite a bit. So let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys for watching. Big news. I just wanted to wait for everything to come out before I reported it, but still pretty big news. Didn't know the Wild were involved. I thought that was really interesting. That came in like just as I was filling out the board, and I was like, oh, surprise. So let me know what you guys think. Who win this trade? Did the Bruins get fleeced? Did the Capitals lose out? This is the right move for the Capitals. I think they're in the wild card hunt. They're like deep into the wild card hunt. They could make the playoffs. They might not. They still got Ovechkin. They got Backstrom. They got Tom. They got some of their core guys there that want to play well and want to be in the playoffs. What message does this send? Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you. Take care. All right.